Hello internet friends, and welcome to the next Legion beta preview wrap-up summary. This is the Unholy Death Knight. So this one started off kind of awkward. I've played Unholy Death Knight, I think the most of the Death Knight class in Warlords, and I think I got the most. I got a little bent out of shape about the stupid frost, like spiky bit, you know, frozen whatever the hell with the wall mechanics and the grid placement and the whatever and the butt pathing of it. It's weird, but Unholy has some interesting hooks that I think make it have a lot of weird choices. Two of them don't really work right now in the beta build currently, which I'll go over in a minute, but I will show attack animations as I go over the bugs. I'll just be auto-attacking some stuff here and whacking some things, and you can see the attack animations behind me as I do them. So, Outbreak needs a range of nearby targets for the spread. So Outbreak sort of acts as a pestilence mechanic when you hit Outbreak. It not only puts Virulent Plague on the target, which is the new disease for Unholy Death Knights, but it doesn't have a range indicator. I'm assuming it's 10 yards, but it doesn't hit the mob next to me. This is 12 yards away, so it could be. Who knows? But that's sort of just how it looks right now. So I don't know how it's going to work. Need to figure that out. Virulent Plague doesn't even have a range indicator on its eruption or its corpse explosion effect either. So when Virulent Plague can erupt on a target randomly, it does the green explosion you see going on. The green cloud on the ground right now is a little stinker. But the green explosion is the corpse explosion sort of eruption mechanic that happens. Kind of like a Wandering Plague AoE component built into the dot. So, but that doesn't have a range indicator on the spell either. Festering Wound also doesn't denote that the max stacks are only 5. Additionally, it does not denote the debuff timing. It does last 15 seconds maximum. It currently does not Pandemic, but it will in the future. So, like, it goes to 15, but it should go a little higher if you multi-festering, but I've been told that you multi-festering will not be really beneficial and or useful, so maybe it's superfluous, but I'm a big proponent for that. Those numbers and those ranges should be in the tooltips because it helps you understand what your class is doing, and that should be in the game. Death and Decay plus the Scourge Strike interaction Cleave also has no ranged interaction location. It just says that your Scourge Strike hits things that are near you in your Death and Decay. It doesn't hit all things in the Death and Decay. It just hits things near the target you are currently Scourge striking, which I'll go into that more in a minute, because that interaction with both Boiling Rot and Defile, and Boiling Rot and Death and Decay, and Scourge Strike are some of the weirdest but coolest interactions the class is currently having. Which, I don't know how to... they're so weird. Alright. One more Death Strike real quick here, and I'll move on. Yes! Yeah, obviously, you're not going to be Death Striking very often. It's a defensive cooldown, but still cool. So, Little Stinker needs a Fart Cloud range denoted as well. Boiling Rot also seems to incorrectly stack time based on the wound eating, which I'll go into a little bit more. What Boiling Rot does is that Death and Decay and Defile eat. They will trigger stacks of Festering Wound, which are stacked up by Festering Strike, up to 5. They will eat the stacks and give 1 more second to its duration, which, if you're a Death Knight player, might be already thinking, like, holy crap. Yes, I have made Death and Decay last until Death and Decay comes back off cooldown. So, with that in mind, you can more or less make Defile last until it comes off of cooldown again. And that would mean that Defile continuously grows in size and damage. But I don't know how it's going to work because it doesn't work in the beta right now yet. The animations also break, so they stop showing on the screen, but I have made Boiling Rot, Death and Decay last for a very long time. And, yeah, it doesn't work with Defile. So that's all my bug testing stuff that I figured out. So I guess that the notes that I have here for the class itself was that the new plague, Virulent Plague, which I'll pop up on the screen right now, is only spread by Outbreak, which costs 1 rune, 30-yard range, 6-second cooldown. During the 6 seconds, however, that Virulent Plague, the Outbreak debuff is going, it continuously refreshes the Virulent Plague. So the plague itself lasts for 21 seconds. If you refresh it again early, it will Pandemic up to 26, 27, as you see here. And it keeps being refreshed by the 6-second Outbreak. So it technically adds 6 more seconds to Virulent Plague. So it lasts for, like, 31 seconds, I guess. 33, somewhere in that, depends on the pandemic nonsense. So it's right in there. It's kind of weird. I think it's cool. It sort of combines both Blood Boil and the plague nonsense, the festering little 1-second plague thing you have in Warlords right now. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like Wandering Plague, but it does not spread itself. The Wandering Plague opponent is the part of Outbreak. If there were things around this, it would spread the dot to it during the 6-second duration. And I said the Outbreak extends the duration of the initial dot. So what I've seen with Unholy is kind of like a very A and B rotation, where I'm not going to talk about cooldowns much right now. I have Tortured Spirit currently selected. That's my last note that I went over, which I'll jump to now. Is that Tortured Spirit, which one of your new level 100 talents, is like mega lame. It's just a 20-second spirit that lasts for 20 seconds with a 20-second cooldown, and it deals more damage per hit. I think it's like a 5% increased damage per hit. It'll hit 7 times, I think, maximum that I've seen it attack, but it is incredibly, incredibly slow. So it'll spawn here, it'll attack that guy once, and if you attack something else, it will switch with you. But it is painfully slow. It does cleave. It's like a warrior cleave. If it's a couple targets nearby. It does increasing damage, but it just lasts 20 seconds. Then it's like, oh, I'm dead. I'm going to resummon him. Oh, there he is. Just going to walk over and start attacking him. I hope Tortured Spirit gets some love because it is really lame. Whereas Defile is the same, but possibly has crazy implications with Boiling Rot. Breath of Sundragosa is the same. I had one that lasted 17 seconds, and then one that lasted almost 21 seconds, which I was told by people in chat that actually is pretty good. Compared to live Breath of Sundragosa for Unholy, you get to last about 15 seconds without Empowered Rune Weapon, so it's a little bit better, if not the same, than it is on live currently. And the only difference is that dealing damage will refund 3 energy to your ghoul. So your ghoul gets energy as Breath of Sundragosa ticks, which is, like, not a huge deal, I don't think. It might be good, but it looks kind of like, Breath is still Breath to what it is. Defile is still Defile for what it is. It might be the better choice for Unholy overall due to the fact that it's just kind of like put it down in AoE, and there it goes. But I don't know how Boiling Rot with it is going to work. I have no idea. So A and B rotation, put your dot up, right? You want a Festering Strike. I currently have Pestilent Pustules, which goes 1 to 5 Festering Wound Strikes per Festering. Normally it's 1 to 3. And then burning off a Festering with the Scourge Strike will then give you 6 Runic Power instead of only 3. So, Blighted Rune Blade, however, I will jump out of comment real quick because I want to show you this one. I personally think, and this is what Skullflower said, is that this Blighted Rune Blade is probably like one of the coolest mechanics in here for single target damage. Because the Boiling Rot stuff is very AoE component and cleave. So, Blighted Rune Blade, if you will notice here, and probably sure it's a weapon-based RPPM, so that's why I always procs in the first auto attack. It will give you a Festering Wound. Your auto attacks will give a Festering Wound. The biggest thing about this is it's kind of RNG, is that you can have the stack falling off, and then it refreshes the duration. So it did it again right there. I think what this really propagates to a way is that you can sort of, what I have coined, wound juggling, which you will always leave 1 wound on the target. If you can help it, you'll leave 1 wound, and then if it's going to fall off, then you Festering Strike it, right? And then you Scourge Strike, and then you Scourge Strike, and then you Scourge Strike, and then you're waiting for this one, you're like, oh, I'm gonna hit some Death Coils. Oh, it reset. I'm gonna Scourge Strike again. I hit some Death Coils right here again, and it's, oh, you know, I'm gonna hit a Scourge Strike, because it's still sitting there, and then I'll Festering Strike. You get like this kind of juggling back and forth, like A and B rotation, where you're making sure your dot stays up. You'll obviously deal with your ghoul and your other cooldowns, but this is like the bare basics, where you can always kind of leave a Festering Wound up to either put a refresh with Festering Strike on, or get a refresh on your Bladed Rune Blade auto attack, or just burn off and then reset. So you have some options here, I think, that are kind of interesting. Just put up your dots, you know, put up wounds. You're never going to want to Scourge Strike on a target for single target damage without the Festering Wound on it. It's just too much free damage and too much additional runic power. It's still 3 runic power without this. It's 6 with this, with Pestilent Pustules. All Will Serve is kind of broken right now. I'll show you what it summons. All Will Serve makes you summon a skeletal minion. He's an archer. I call him Rasputin. Oh, he's not going to summon right now. It's broken. Crap. I have to relog for it to work. I'll show you that in a second. Shadow Infusion basically gives you 100% uptime on your ghoul. He will be able to stay up all the time. You will reduce the cooldown by 8 seconds every time you hit a death coil. I'm just spamming buttons right now for runic power. But as you will soon find out that before he even turns back into a little baby ghoul, you'll have it right back up. There it is, boom, and refreshed. So it's 100% uptime on Shadow Infusion with this talent. So it's kind of like your current incarnation with the Shadow, oh my god, with freaking Soul Reaper and the set bonus now to give you 5 stacks of Shadow Infusion. There's no infusion anymore. Your ghoul is literally just a 1-minute cooldown that is a maintenance buff, and if you take Shadow Infusion, you can basically recast it over and over and over and over and over again. Right? He'll stay up 100% of the time. And let me do all will serve real quick. I will do a quick, I don't think reload will do it. We'll do a reload real quick to see if that does it. I don't think it's a UI error, it's a server problem or a code issue. We'll see if it summons him. Nope, did a quick relog real quick. Let me jump inside the shrine and I will show you. I call him Little Rasputin. He's a skeletal archer. Currently, he's kind of buggy. If you go into combat with him, he will not leave combat. So you have to like run really far away and he will despawn, and then you have to relog for him to spawn again. But it is a additional pet. There he is. There's Rasputin. So, yeah, he has different shoulders and different helmet models and different, like, pants that pop up on him now and then. But he is a skeletal archer. He will just kind of shoot things. He doesn't really do anything of note right now. He's not commanded by your pet bar or anything yet. They're still working on it, but I think it's cool to have an extra pet minion if you are into that. Maybe. I did do some runic empowerment testing for Unholy. It feels kind of, It's either runic corruption or runic longevity again for DPS. It just feels way too good. And so that's about all I'm thinking about. The interactions with Death and Decay, I can't really show you in this video just because it's going to take me a long time to set it up again. I had to go into Siege of Orgrimmar and grab a bunch of minions and stuff like that. But more or less, when you're in Death and Decay, when you Scourge Strike, you'll AoE around what you're Scourge Striking, like a 5 or 4 yard radius around that thing. There's no diminishing return. Scourge Strike hits for full damage on all targets near the target you Scourge Strike. Not what's in the D&D, but what's near what you're Scourge Striking as long as you're in the D&D. It's incredibly powerful. I did close to 500,000 damage in 6 Scourge Strikes to a bunch of mobs in Siege of Orgrimmar. Siege of Orgrimmar mobs don't scale up, they don't take increased damage, so it's incredibly bursty. I was told it's sort of a replacement for the current interactions of Necrotic Plague and Blood Boil spreading, which is doing crazy amounts of AoE damage and spread. This is keeping the damage possibility of the burst, but also toning it back down to a smaller radius. Maybe? It looks ridiculous. But at least that looks ridiculous and not one of the 100 talents that's just weirdly coded. So, again, Torture Spirit's lame. Defile might be a default. Torture Spirit does so much damage, though. I don't know how it's going to be changed when Numbers Pass comes through, but that's my thoughts on Unholy Death Knight so far. It looks pretty fun. It's weird because I don't know how the Death and Decay thing's going to work or how Torture Spirit's going to work, but thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy these little videos, go watch the other ones. I've done Frost and Blood at this point, so Death Knight is done. I'll be doing more passes in the future. You can leave a like on the video if you enjoy them. You can share them with your friends and guildies, give them a little taste. I will see you on the live streams. If you've missed the entire broadcast of this, you can go check that out on the Google document spreadsheet, the class and channel guide that I have on my channel. You can also find the link down below the stream as well. You can also find my Patreon link if you want to help me out a little bit. Give me a couple bucks a month to help me keep doing what I'm doing. Legion's going to be crazy. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next video.